Have you ever wondered what it would be like to stand on the shores of a great empire, watching as the horizon darkens with the approach of strange ships? The whispers of the sea peoples, enigmatic marauders of the ancient Mediterranean, echo through the annals of history like the ghostly calls of sirens, luring us into tales of conquest and chaos that left empires trembling in their wake. To understand the sea peoples, we must first navigate the currents of time and space, for they emerged from the depths of a world rife with upheaval around the 13th century BCE. The era was marked by the fall of mighty kingdoms and the rise of new powers, a tapestry woven from the threads of cultural exchange, trade, and warfare. The Mediterranean, a vast expanse of water connecting civilizations, became both a lifeline and a battleground. Here, the sea peoples sailed, nomadic warriors whose origins remained shrouded in mystery. The term sea peoples is a collective label applied by ancient scribes, most notably the Egyptians, to a coalition of maritime raiders who struck terror into the hearts of coastal cities. Among them were the Sherden, the Ekwesh, the Lukka, and the Peleset, each carrying their own unique heritage and stories, yet united by a common purpose, to plunder and conquer. Ancient Egyptian records, like those found inscribed on the walls of the mortuary temple of Ramses III at Medinet Habu, depict fierce battles where these warriors clashed with the pharaoh as forces their tall ships, cutting through the waves like predatory beasts. Archaeological evidence offers tantalizing glimpses into their world, with remnants of their ships discovered along the Mediterranean coastline, crafted from sturdy oak, and designed for both speed and strength. The shipwrights of these nomadic tribes were masters of their craft, creating vessels capable of navigating both the tempestuous seas and the intricate coastlines of ancient cities. Yet the question lingers. From whence did these seafaring marauders come? Theories abound, each as captivating as the last. Some scholars suggest that the sea peoples hailed from the Aegean Islands, possibly from regions later associated with the Mycenaean civilization, which was itself crumbling under the weight of internal strife. Others posit that they emerged from the coastal fringes of Anatolia or the southern Levant, driven by drought, famine, or a desperate need for new lands. Archaeological surveys in areas like Sicily and Sardinia have unearthed artifacts hinting at a widespread maritime culture that predates the sea peoples, suggesting that their roots run deeper than previously thought. Their arrival was not merely a series of raids, but a cataclysmic event that reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the ancient world. As they descended upon the thriving cities of Ugarit, Hattusa, and eventually the Nile Delta, they disrupted trade routes and instigated profound shifts in power dynamics. The Hittite Empire, once a titan of the Near East, fell to this tide of destruction, leaving behind only echoes of its glory. The tablets unearthed at Hattusa, detailing desperate pleas for military aid, illustrate the panic that gripped the Hittite leadership as the sea peoples advanced. Yet it was not just conquest they brought. They were harbingers of cultural exchange, blending their influences with the civilizations they encountered. The pottery styles found in the remains of coastal settlements reveal a fusion of artistic traditions, with designs that intertwine the motifs of the sea peoples with those of the Egyptians and the Levantine cultures. This intermingling of peoples and ideas raises another profound question. Did the sea peoples come only to conquer, or were they seeking a new beginning in lands beset by their own struggles? As we delve deeper into the enigma of the sea peoples, we must also contemplate their legacy. Their incursions marked the twilight of the Bronze Age, ushering in an era of transformation that would lead to the rise of new empires, like the Phoenicians and the Greeks, who would chart their own destinies upon the very waters that had once been the grave of their predecessors. Indeed, the tale of the sea peoples is not simply one of destruction. It is a narrative of resilience, adaptation, and the inexorable march of history. From their origins to their impact on the Mediterranean world, The sea peoples remain an unsolved riddle, their whispers carried upon the waves, beckoning historians and storytellers alike to seek the truth buried beneath the sands of time. As we prepare to navigate the unfolding chapters of their saga, let us remain attuned to the secrets the seas have yet to reveal, for within their depths lie the answers to a mystery that has captivated humanity for millennia. As the sun dipped below the horizon, its dying rays cast a golden hue over the sands of the eastern Mediterranean, where history lay buried beneath layers of time. Here, in this ancient cradle of civilization, whispered tales awaited discovery, tales of the sea peoples, enigmatic marauders whose very existence flickered like a mirage in the annals of history. It is in the shadows of the past that we embark upon a journey into the forgotten tombs and the secrets they hold. Our story begins in the bustling city of Ugarit, a vibrant port known for its trade and cultural exchange, where the scent of spices filled the air and the laughter of merchants echoed through the narrow streets. Yet, as the sun set on this thriving civilization, the winds of change began to howl ominously. The Sea Peoples, a confederation of nomadic warriors, were drawing closer, their intentions as murky as the depths of the sea from which they hailed. In 1928, the sands of Ugarit revealed a treasure trove of artifacts unearthed by the hands of archaeologist Claude Schaefer. Among the ruins of palaces and temples, he stumbled upon a series of tombs, the resting places of those who had witnessed the rise of the Sea Peoples. With each excavation, the narratives of the past began to unfold like a scroll, revealing not only the lives of the city's elite, but also hints of the dread that surrounded their impending doom. One such tomb belonged to a high-ranking official, a man of considerable influence who once brokered peace between rival factions. His burial chamber was a sanctuary of opulence, adorned with exquisite jewelry, intricately crafted weapons, and pottery that sang of stories long forgotten. But it was the wall murals that captured the imagination. Depictions of fierce warriors with long hair and distinctive attire, brandishing swords and shields, their eyes alight with a ferocious spirit. These were the Sea Peoples, and their ferocity was matched only by the mystery of their origins. In the nearby hills of modern-day Lebanon, the site of Byblos lay shrouded in intrigue. Here, another tomb was uncovered in the 1960s, revealing not only the relics of a prosperous merchant, but also remnants of foreign craftsmanship, artifacts that bore the unmistakable hallmarks of the Sea Peoples. The intermingling of cultures hinted at a deeper connection, a silent acknowledgement of the nomads who disrupted trade routes and altered the course of history. How did these warriors transition from mere raiders to formidable forces capable of dismantling empires? As we delve deeper into the shadows, we encounter the crypts of the Hittite elite, where the bones of kings and queens lay entwined with the remnants of their grandeur. Archaeologists, like the intrepid Hans Goebel, unearthed a trove of inscriptions that hinted at the growing dread among the Hittite ranks as they faced the onslaught of the Sea Peoples. The inscriptions spoke of alliances forged in desperation and the ominous prophecies that foretold doom. What had been an empire of unparalleled might was crumbling, and the whispers of the Sea Peoples echoed in the corridors of their citadels. At the helm of this narrative lies the enigmatic figure of Merneptah, the Egyptian pharaoh, whose reign witnessed the full brunt of the Sea Peoples' wrath. In his mortuary temple at Thebes, a significant inscription boldly proclaimed, "The Sea Peoples have been defeated." Yet, like many things in history, the truth remains elusive. Did Merneptah truly vanquish these marauders, or did he merely stave off the inevitable? The tombs of the fallen reveal a deeper understanding. The Sea Peoples were not merely conquerors, but harbingers of change, reshaping the geopolitical landscape of the Mediterranean. As we sift through the remnants of these tombs, we find not only evidence of warfare, but also artifacts that speak of shared beliefs and rituals. The intermingling of burial practices hints at a culture that was both feared and respected. Pottery shards inscribed with symbols of the sea, alongside amulets meant to ward off evil spirits, suggest that the sea peoples were more than mere marauders. They were a people with their own beliefs, their own stories. Yet, as we stand on the precipice of revelation, a lingering question shadows our findings. Who were these warriors of the sea? As the echoes of their past resonate through the ages, we are left with a tantalizing enigma. The tombs may have unveiled treasures and truths, but they have also deepened the mystery of the sea peoples, leaving us to ponder their origins, their motivations, and their ultimate fate. In the twilight of history, the sands of the Mediterranean continue to shift, concealing yet more secrets of the sea peoples. Each tomb unearthed, each artifact recovered, beckons us further into the shadows, where the past intertwines with the present, waiting for us to listen to its whispers and unravel the mysteries that lie beneath the surface. In the dawn of the second millennium BCE, a configuration of tribes emerged from the mists of history, coalescing around the edges of the Mediterranean like tempestuous waves. These were the Sea Peoples, a name that would echo through the corridors of time, shrouded in layers of enigma and intrigue. As we trace their origins, we find ourselves drawn into the intricate tapestry of human migration, cultural exchange, and the relentless pursuit of survival. The geographical cradle of the Sea Peoples is a subject of fierce debate among historians and archaeologists alike. Some scholars propose that these nomadic warriors hailed from the Aegean Islands, while others suggest a more complex origin story, weaving threads from the mountainous regions of Anatolia and the steppes of the Balkans. The very name Sea Peoples conjures visions of marauders, their ships slicing through the waters, yet beneath that veneer lies a deeper narrative of displacement and adaptation. The Late Bronze Age, a period marked by flourishing trade networks and burgeoning city-states, was also a time of upheaval. Climate change, with its attendant droughts and famines, triggered migrations and the disintegration of established societies. The Hittites, the Mycenaeans, and the Egyptians, once towering empires, found themselves besieged not just by the Sea Peoples, but by the very forces of nature. In this landscape of turmoil, the Sea Peoples emerged as both symptoms and agents of change. Among their ranks, we find the enigmatic Peleset, identified by some as the Philistines of biblical lore. Their name resonates through the annals of history, but their true essence remains elusive. Archaeological discoveries at sites like Ashkelon and Tel Kassil reveal a culture that blended indigenous traditions with foreign influences, showcasing pottery styles, architectural designs, and a penchant for warfare that hinted at their origins in the tumultuous seas. Were they mere raiders, or did they represent a broader coalition of displaced peoples seeking refuge and opportunity in a world gone awry? Equally compelling is the connection to the Sherden, noted for their horned helmets and fierce combat prowess. Some speculate that they originated from the western Mediterranean, perhaps the mountainous regions of Sardinia, while others suggest ties to the Corsican tribes who navigated the tumultuous waters of the Tyrrhenian Sea. Their legacy, as recorded in the annals of Pharaoh Ramesses II, paints them as formidable foes, yet the mythology surrounding them suggests they were more than mere warriors. They were the embodiment of a shifting cultural landscape, navigating the uncertainties of a world at the brink of collapse. The enigmatic origins of the Sea Peoples are further complicated by the archaeological site of Ugarit, a vibrant coastal city that flourished before its destruction in the Late Bronze Age. Ugarit's rich archives, inscribed in cuneiform, reveal trade relations with both Egypt and the Aegean, providing a tantalizing glimpse into the interactions that may have birthed the Sea Peoples. The collapse of this citadel, along with similar cities, fueled the fires of migration, as desperate peoples sought to escape the ravages of war and famine, perhaps coalescing into the formidable collective known as the Sea Peoples. Yet the question lingers, what drove these disparate groups to abandon their homes and take to the seas? A combination of factors seems plausible: climate change and resource depletion, coupled with the allure of new territories ripe for conquest. The maritime routes of the Mediterranean were not merely highways of commerce. They became veins of opportunity, drawing wanderers and warriors alike into a new epoch. As cities fell and empires crumbled, the Sea Peoples found themselves at the forefront of a transformation, shaping the very fabric of Mediterranean civilization. In this cauldron of change, one must not overlook the role of technology. The advent of advanced shipbuilding techniques allowed these nomadic warriors to traverse the waters with unprecedented speed and agility. With their long ships, kaleidoscopes of wood and sail, they became masters of the Mediterranean, wielding the ocean as both weapon and shield. Their naval prowess is echoed in the stories of their encounters with Egyptian forces, yet that tale is yet to unfold. The origins of the Sea Peoples remain shrouded in a veil of mystery, a riddle that has tantalized scholars for generations. Dispersed across the Mediterranean, they were not merely marauders, but a reflection of humanity's resilience and adaptability in the face of calamity. As we navigate the currents of their rise, we are reminded that history is not just a chronicle of victories and defeats, but a testament to the intricacies of human experience, forever enshrined in the whispers of the waves. The sun hung low over the eastern horizon, casting a warm golden hue upon the sands of the Nile Delta. A whisper of wind rustled through the papyrus reeds, as if nature itself held its breath in anticipation of the impending clash. In this crucible of history, the mighty Egyptian empire stood poised against the shadowy specter of the Sea Peoples, an enigmatic coalition of marauding nomads, whose very name struck terror into the hearts of rulers and commoners alike. It was around the 12th century BCE that these formidable warriors emerged, their origins steeped in uncertainty. Some scholars speculate they hailed from the Aegean Islands, while others suggest they may have come from the coasts of Anatolia or even the distant shores of the Levant. Regardless of their roots, their collective identity began to crystallize as they descended upon the Mediterranean with a ferocity that would leave empires trembling. Among the great pharaohs of Egypt, none were more pivotal in the struggle against the Sea Peoples than Ramesses III. Ascending to the throne around 1186 BCE, he inherited a kingdom that had flourished under the watchful eye of his predecessors. Yet, as the winds of change blew across the Mediterranean, Ramesses found himself at the helm of an unprecedented crisis. His reign would be defined not by the construction of grand temples or the celebration of divine favor, but by the brutal encounters with these relentless sea-borne marauders. The first significant clash occurred in the year 1175 BCE, during what would later be known as the Battle of the Delta. The Sea Peoples, a coalition of various groups including the Sherden, Ekwesh, and Peleset, launched a formidable assault along the northern coast of Egypt, their long ships cutting through the waters like daggers. From the ancient city of Ramesses, Ramesses III mobilized his forces, a well-trained army composed of both native Egyptians and mercenaries, determined to defend the land of Kemet. As dawn broke on that fateful day, the battle commenced with the thunderous roar of chariots and the clash of weapons. The Egyptian forces, renowned for their tactics and discipline, faced a foe unlike any they had encountered. The Sea Peoples employed unorthodox strategies, utilizing their mobility and maritime prowess to outmaneuver the Egyptians. Amidst the chaos, the cries of warriors echoed, drowning out the sound of clashing steel as both sides fought valiantly for survival. The battle raged fiercely, and as the dust settled, it became evident that the Egyptians had emerged victorious. Relief washed over Ramesses III, yet the cost of victory was steep. The aftermath revealed a grim tableau, a landscape strewn with the fallen, both Egyptian and sea people alike. The inscriptions at the mortuary temple of Medinet Habu, dedicated to Ramesses, recount the harrowing tale of this encounter, portraying the sea peoples as grotesque figures, their bodies adorned with strange garments and weapons that seem to defy logic. Yet the reliefs also hint at a deeper mystery. The sea peoples were not merely invaders, but a force driven by desperation and survival, their own lands possibly ravaged by drought and famine. In the wake of the battle, the sea peoples regrouped, their resolve unbroken. They would not be deterred by a single defeat. Rather, they adapted and learned. Ramesses III faced them again in subsequent campaigns, each encounter marked by both bloodshed and a strange admiration for the tenacity of his foes. The pharaoh's inscriptions boast of his prowess, yet beneath the bravado lies an acknowledgment of the formidable enemy that persisted. Scholars have often debated the implications of these encounters. Did the sea peoples possess advanced nautical technology that allowed them to exploit the Mediterranean's trade routes? Archaeological findings, such as remnants of their uniquely styled pottery and weapons unearthed at sites like the ancient city of Ugarit, suggest a culture rich in maritime tradition. Their ability to adapt to the tumultuous landscape of warfare hinted at more than mere savagery. It spoke of a people striving for survival in a world that was rapidly changing. The legacy of these clashes with the sea peoples extended far beyond the battlefield. They would herald the beginning of the end for several great civilizations, not merely through military force, but by sowing chaos and disrupting established trade networks. As the Egyptian Empire grappled with these enigmatic marauders, the echoes of their encounters reverberated across the seas, an enduring mystery lost to the annals of time, yet forever etched in the memory of those who dared to stand against the tide of nomadic warriors. And so, in the twilight of Ramesses III's reign, the sea peoples remained a haunting enigma, a testament to the fragility of empires and the unpredictable nature of history itself. In the twilight of the Bronze Age, as great empires crumbled and the winds of change swept across the Mediterranean, the sea peoples emerged from the mists of obscurity, striking terror into the hearts of established civilizations. Yet within the shadows of their marauding, a tapestry of mythology began to weave itself around their enigmatic figure. These tales, rich with symbolism and steeped in the supernatural, reveal not just the fears and fascinations of the ancient world, but also the very essence of the sea peoples themselves. From the windswept coastlines of the Levant to the sacred temples of Egypt, stories of the sea peoples took on a life of their own. They were not merely warriors, they were seen as avatars of chaos, summoned by the gods or perhaps cursed by them. As one delves into the ancient texts, the most striking account comes from the annals of Egyptian history, particularly from the inscriptions at the mortuary temple of Ramses III in Medinet Habu, where the pharaoh immortalized his battle against these marauders. The walls of the temple are adorned with vivid imagery depicting the sea peoples as fierce, tattooed men, wielding weapons of iron and striking fear into the hearts of pharaohs. These depictions tell a story, but one must look deeper to understand their significance. The sea peoples were often associated with deities of chaos and destruction, reflecting the civilization's desperate attempts to rationalize their invasions. Some scholars suggest they were viewed as the earthly manifestations of the goddess Sekhmet, the lion-headed deity of war and destruction, prowling the Mediterranean for souls to conquer. This divine association did not merely denote their ferocity, but indicated a complex relationship between mankind and the divine, a belief that the sea peoples were both a scourge and a necessary force of nature sent to cleanse the world of stagnation. Archaeological evidence from sites like Ugarit, where maritime trade flourished, reveals that these sea raiders were not just enemies, but also integral players in the cultural exchanges of the era. The tablets unearthed from this ancient city tell tales of trade and interactions, hinting at a civilization that was both feared and revered. The sea peoples brought with them not only weapons of war, but also the seeds of new myths and legends, altering the cultural landscape of the Mediterranean. One particularly captivating legend speaks of a great chieftain among the sea peoples known only as Ekwesh, a name thought to refer to a group of marauders. According to oral traditions passed down through generations, Ekwesh was said to be blessed by the gods of the sea. His skin glimmered like the waves, and his eyes reflected the tumultuous storms. It was believed that he could summon tempests, empowering his fleet to conquer entire coastal cities by harnessing the very forces of nature. Stories of his exploits likely contributed to the mystique surrounding the sea peoples, blurring the line between man and myth. In the realm of the Aegean, another fascinating narrative arose. The sea peoples were often likened to the legendary Trojans, with echoes of their exploits reverberating through the tales of Homer. While the Iliad speaks of valor and honor, the sea peoples embodied a different ethos, one of relentless survival and adaptation. They were depicted as elusive and cunning, much like the foxes of old, who, while hunted, always found a way to thrive. This transformation of their image from mere aggressors to cunning survivors reflects a deeper understanding of their role in the shifting tides of history. Moreover, the interplay of their mythology with existing cultural narratives offers a glimpse into the fears of the societies they threatened. The Egyptians, the Hittites, and the Mycenaeans all faced the reality of their fragility in the face of an unrelenting force. This fear found expression in their own mythologies, embedding the sea peoples into their stories of gods and monsters, forever altering their own legacies. What remains tantalizingly elusive is the truth behind the sea peoples' origins. Were they a singular group or a confederation of diverse tribes, each with its own myths and legends? The evidence points to a complex mosaic of cultures, united by desperation and driven by the same forces that brought them to the shores of powerful empires. In this sense, their story is not just one of conquest, but of existential struggle, reflecting the trials of humanity itself. As the waves crash against the shores of our understanding, the legends of the sea peoples continue to echo through time. They remind us that history is often a tapestry woven with the threads of myth and reality, each narrative enriching our comprehension of the past. In the end, the sea peoples remain, not only as figures of warfare, but as symbols of the unknown, challenging us to ponder the mysteries that lie just beyond the horizon. In the quiet embrace of the Mediterranean, where cerulean waters lap against ancient shores, the remnants of a turbulent past lie submerged beneath the waves. Here, sunken boats and shattered weapons whisper tales long forgotten, remnants of a marauding force known only as the Sea Peoples. These nomadic warriors whose very existence has become a historical enigma, left behind not just destruction, but also a trove of artifacts that speak of their ferocity, ingenuity, and perhaps their very humanity. As archaeologists dive into this submerged world, they unearth evidence of conflict and survival. They have found weapons crafted with precision and purpose, artifacts that reveal both the brutality of war and the artistry of the civilizations that produced them. Among these artifacts, a collection of bronze swords stands out, their blades as sharp as the legends that enveloped the sea peoples. Some swords, recovered from shipwrecks off the coast of Ugarit, bear inscriptions in a script that remains undeciphered, hinting at a culture rich in tradition yet shrouded in mystery. Each weapon is more than a mere tool of war. It is a symbol of identity, a testament to the warrior ethos that defined these seafaring marauders. In the coastal city of Ashkelon, excavations have yielded not only weapons, but also the tools of trade that the sea peoples might have used. Pottery fragments adorned with intricate designs suggest that these warriors were not mere plunderers, but skilled artisans. The presence of weaving tools indicates that they produced textiles, perhaps to barter or to adorn themselves in their fierce quests. The juxtaposition of war and craft in these findings paints a complex picture of a people often reduced to caricatures of barbarism. But it was not only in the region of Ugarit and Ashkelon that remnants of the Sea Peoples surfaced. A remarkable discovery at the site of Mycenae revealed a trove of armor and shields that may have belonged to these enigmatic warriors. The shields, made from a combination of wood and metal, were adorned with motifs that echo those found in Egyptian hieroglyphs, suggesting a cultural exchange or a shared reverence for protective symbols. Such artifacts transcend the simple narrative of invasion. They echo the interconnectedness of civilizations that thrived along the Mediterranean. The Sea Peoples, far from being isolated marauders, were part of a larger tapestry woven from trade, conflict, and cultural fusion. Among the most captivating discoveries is a series of burial sites containing the remains of fallen warriors, interred with their weapons and tools. In one such grave unearthed near the ruins of ancient Troy, archaeologists found a skeleton clutching a dagger, its hilt encrusted with gems, a rarity among the artifacts of war. This weapon, believed to belong to a leader of the Sea Peoples, carries a weight of authority. It hints at a hierarchical structure, perhaps a chieftaincy that commanded respect among the nomadic clans. The ornate dagger, juxtaposed against the otherwise utilitarian nature of the tools, suggests that this leader was not only a warrior, but also a symbol of hope and courage for his people. Yet the question lingers. What drove these warriors to seize the shores of the Mediterranean? The artifacts do not provide a clear answer. Instead, they complicate the narrative of conquest. Inscriptions on certain ceramic pieces suggest trade routes that predate the conflicts, hinting at a community that once thrived long before it became synonymous with destruction. Could it be that the Sea Peoples, in their quest for resources and security, were responding to pressures beyond their control? Deforestation, famine, or perhaps the shifting political tides of neighboring empires might have propelled them to seek new horizons. The Sea Peoples, once thought to be mere harbingers of doom, now emerge as complex figures shaped by their environment. The artifacts unearthed from the depths of the sea and the sands of time bear witness to their struggles, their victories, and ultimately their legacy. Each weapon, each tool, and each fragment of pottery serves as a thread in the rich tapestry of history. They invite us to ponder the lives of those who wielded them, whose stories remain entangled in the currents of time. As we gaze at these artifacts, we are reminded of the fragility of human existence and the relentless tides of history. The Sea Peoples, with their weapons of war and tools of trade, challenge us to rethink our understanding of conflict, community, and resilience in a world that has always been subject to the fickle hands of fate. In the ebb and flow of the Mediterranean, their legacy endures, an unsolved mystery that beckons us to dive deeper into the past. In the golden haze of the late Bronze Age, Ugarit stood as a beacon of commerce and culture, a bustling port city cradled by the embrace of the Mediterranean Sea and the fertile plains of the Levant. Its streets, alive with the chatter of merchants, the clamor of craftsmen, and the fragrance of spices that wafted from distant lands, made it a melting pot of civilization. Yet, beneath this vibrant tapestry lay an ominous shadow, the gathering storm of the Sea Peoples, an enigmatic collective whose very name sent tremors through the hearts of the mighty. The year was circa 1200 BCE, and the winds of change were palpable. Ugarit, a city of unparalleled significance, stood at a crossroads of culture and conflict. It was here that Hittite, Egyptian, and Canaanite influences intertwined, each thread of history woven into the fabric of its existence. The city's strategic location made it a hub for trade, an essential link between the East and West. But its wealth and prosperity also rendered it a target for those who roamed the waves in search of plunder and conquest. As the sea peoples surged toward Ugarit, their warships sliced through the waves like specters of doom. They were not a single tribe, but a confederation of disparate groups, confounding the scholars and historians of ages past and present alike. Some spoke of the Peleset, believed to be the Philistines. Others whispered of the Sherden, the Ekwesh, and the Lukka, each name a riddle wrapped in the enigma of their origins. These nomadic warriors, steeped in the lore of the sea, came not only for gold and goods, but to carve their names into the annals of history through violence and destruction. The siege of Ugarit was more than a military confrontation. It was a clash of ideologies, a battle between the old world of established empires and the chaotic emergence of new powers. The city's defenders, under the command of King Nikmaru prepared for the onslaught. With walls thickened by time and fortifications bolstered by the labor of countless artisans, Ugarit had long been a bulwark against invasions. Yet the sea peoples, driven by desperation and fury, were unlike any adversaries they had faced before. Archaeological evidence reveals the remnants of the siege, charred fragments of pottery, arrowheads, and the scorched remains of buildings that testify to the ferocity of the conflict. The city's position as a melting pot meant that its defenders were not merely soldiers, but a coalition of cultures, united in their bid to protect their home. As the sea peoples launched their assault, the very air crackled with intensity. A cacophony of clashing swords, the thundering of horses, and the cries of warriors intertwined with the crashing waves that bore witness to this fateful encounter. In the heart of the city, the royal palace became a bastion of hope. Here, the people huddled, clutching their sacred artifacts, the idols of their gods, relics of their forebears. The palace, adorned with intricate frescoes and inscriptions, stood as a testament to Ugarit's cultural prowess. The walls echoed with prayers to Baal, the storm god, and Dagon, the deity of agriculture, beseeching divine intervention in their hour of need. As the siege raged on for months, the morale of the defenders waned, supplies dwindled, and despair permeated the air. The sea peoples, relentless and cunning, employed tactics that bewildered the defenders. They struck from the sea under the cover of darkness, igniting fires that consumed the city's resources and dimmed the flickering light of hope. The siege was not merely a test of physical fortitude, but the psychological endurance of a people facing annihilation. In the end, Ugarit fell, as so many cities did before the wrath of the sea peoples. The ruins of the city, now a silent witness to the past, tell tales of that fateful moment. The archaeological site at Ras Shamra, where Ugarit once thrived, unveils layers of destruction and resilience. The arrival of the sea peoples marked the beginning of the end for Ugarit, a city that had once flourished, now laid bare and forgotten like a whisper upon the waves. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded into memory, Ugarit's fall rang out as a solemn warning. The sea peoples, elusive in identity, yet formidable in strength, left an indelible mark on the tapestry of history. Their legacy remains a haunting reminder of a world in flux, where the tides of fate ebbed and flowed, bringing empires to their knees and sealing the fate of a city at the crossroads of time. In the tempestuous embrace of the Mediterranean, amid the swirling mists of history, lie the whispers of the sea peoples, nomadic warriors whose very existence remains draped in enigma. Yet, as we delve deeper into the labyrinthine corridors of their lives, we uncover a tapestry rich with fervent beliefs and sacred rituals that shape their identity. Their deities, a reflection of the tumultuous seas they traversed, were as fierce and unpredictable as the waves themselves. The sea peoples, often perceived as marauders, were far more than mere warriors. They were a confluence of cultures drawing from the diverse peoples of the eastern Mediterranean. Their pantheon, while fragmented and largely undocumented, offers tantalizing glimpses into a spiritual world rooted in nature and war. Archaeological finds, such as the pottery shards at the site of Ashkelon, reveal striking motifs of aquatic life and fearsome creatures, symbols that suggest reverence for deities of the sea and storm. Among these divine figures, one stands out: the goddess known as Baalat, often associated with storms and fertility. The Philistines, who are believed to be one of the groups that formed part of the Sea Peoples, worshipped her fervently. She was depicted in various forms, sometimes as a woman holding a shield and a spear, embodying both nurturing and martial attributes. Temples dedicated to Baalat, such as the one unearthed in the ruins of Ekron, reveal altars stained with the remnants of offerings, fruits, grains, and the charred remains of sacrificed animals meant to appease her wrath and secure her favor. But Baalat was not alone in this celestial hierarchy. The Sea Peoples also revered a male deity, possibly reflecting the fierce spirit of the ocean. Archaeological evidence from the coastal city of Ugarit, renowned for its rich trade and cultural exchange, reveals clay tablets inscribed with hymns to a storm god, whose identity remains shrouded in mystery. This deity, possibly akin to the Canaanite god Hadad, was invoked during tempestuous weather when the sea became a battleground and the fate of the nomadic warriors hung in the balance. The connection between these deities and the Sea Peoples is not merely symbolic. It was a lifeline, a tether to the world they so perilously navigated. The rituals performed by these nomads were as dynamic as the waves they sailed upon. Evidence from burial sites, particularly at the site of the ancient city of Tel El Daba in Egypt, highlights the practice of interring warriors with their weapons and symbols of their gods. This custom was not merely a tribute to the deceased, but a means of ensuring protection in the afterlife, suggesting that the Sea Peoples believed their deities would guide them beyond the mortal realm, just as they had in life. One of the most captivating rites uncovered is the practice of communal feasting, where the Sea Peoples gathered to invoke their deities before embarking on raids or migrations. At the site of Afek, excavation revealed large communal ovens and remnants of shared meals. Such gatherings served not only to fortify the spirit of community, but also to call upon divine favor. The shared consumption of food, especially offerings to the gods, was believed to forge a bond between the people and their deities, a crucial element in a life dictated by uncertainty and danger. As we navigate the shadows of history, we encounter the enigmatic figure of the warrior priestess, who may have played a pivotal role in the spiritual life of the Sea Peoples. References in ancient texts, albeit sparse, hint at women leading rituals and invoking the divine strength of the sea. These figures were said to possess the ability to commune with the gods, serving as intermediaries in a world where physical might was often not enough to secure victory. The archaeological discovery of stone altars and ritual objects in coastal sites evokes the image of these priestesses, draped in sea-green robes, chanting prayers into the gale, their voices competing with the crashing waves. Yet, as history would have it, the tides of time are rarely forgiving. The rise and fall of empires, the encroachment of new cultures, and the ebbing of the Sea People's own power gradually led to the fading of their beliefs. Temples once vibrant with offerings fell silent, their deities lost to the annals of time. And so the question lingers like a haunting refrain. What became of the gods that once ruled the hearts of these nomadic warriors? In the end, the Sea Peoples were not merely the scourge of empires, but a testament to the profound connection between humanity and the divine. Their beliefs, rituals, and the deities they worshipped remind us that even amidst the chaos of war and migration, the human spirit reaches for something greater, a yearning for understanding, protection, and perhaps a place in the cosmic dance of life. The mystery of the sea peoples, shrouded in the mist of ages, is a reminder that even the fiercest warriors have their moments of reverence, echoing across the vast, whispering waves of the Mediterranean. In the heart of Anatolia, where the golden sun kissed the rugged terrain and the Euphrates wound its way through the landscape like a serpent, the Hittite Empire, a once mighty bastion of power and culture, faced its greatest peril. The year was 1180 BCE, a time when tensions simmered like the hot springs of Pamukkale, and whispers of an elusive enemy, the Sea Peoples, echoed across the royal palaces and military encampments. These nomadic warriors who had emerged from the mists of the Mediterranean were not merely a passing storm. They were the harbingers of change, the harbingers of doom. In the bustling capital of Hattusa, the seat of Hittite authority, King Suppiluliuma II sat upon his throne, a figure draped in the opulence befitting a ruler of such stature. He was a man of ambition and resolve, yet he sensed a creeping unease. The empire's borders were fraying, and rumors of coastal raids and marauding fleets reached his ears like the mournful cries of distant gulls. The Sea Peoples had become a specter, haunting the dreams of Hittite generals, their raids devastating trade routes and disrupting the delicate web of alliances that held the empire together. Archaeological excavations at the site of Hattusa reveal a city fortified with massive stone walls, echoing the strength of a civilization that had once been proud. But as the Hittite scribes recorded the events of these tumultuous years, it became clear that betrayal lurked within their ranks. The very vassal states that pledged fealty to the Hittite crown began to waver, swayed by the promises and might of the Sea Peoples. The once loyal land of Arzawa, rich in resources and manpower, found itself caught between the Hittites and the invaders, its allegiance teetering precariously. In this climate of uncertainty, the Hittite strategists devised a plan to bolster their defenses. They dispatched their elite forces, the famed Hittite charioteers, to the coastal cities, from the bustling trade hub of Ugarit to the fortified city of Alalak. It was within these strongholds that the true nature of the threat became apparent. The Sea Peoples, comprised of diverse groups such as the Sherden, the Lukka, and the Peleset, were not merely raiders. They were a confederation of warriors united by the common cause of upheaval. Their ships, crafted with the skill of generations, glided through the waves with a grace that belied their deadly intent. The Battle of Kadesh, a legendary clash between the Hittites and the Egyptians, served as a grim prologue to the conflict that was to unfold. In this contest of wills, where the sun shone mercilessly upon the battlefield, the Hittite forces learned the bitter lessons of betrayal firsthand. A coalition of disaffected Hittite nobles, lured by the promises of power from the Sea Peoples, conspired to undermine the king. Their treachery would soon bear fruit, plunging the empire into chaos. As the Sea Peoples advanced, they struck with an uncanny precision, targeting the vulnerable flanks of the Hittite defenses. The once imposing walls of Hattusa trembled under the relentless assault of these warriors, who wielded weapons forged from the iron of their conquests. The archaeological site at Bogaskale, where ancient inscriptions recount the Hittite chronicles, bears testament to this dark chapter. The inscriptions speak of the foreigner who comes like a wolf, a phrase that echoes the fear and uncertainty of the time, encapsulating the very essence of the Sea People's ferocity. Yet it was not solely brute force that shattered the Hittite Empire. It was a tapestry of betrayals woven into the fabric of its downfall. The defection of key military leaders and the assassination of loyalists created a chasm that could not be bridged. As the Sea Peoples poured into Anatolia, the cities that had once flourished turned into smoking ruins, the remnants of their grandeur swallowed by the sands of time. In the aftermath of the fall, a silence settled over the once bustling halls of Hattusa, a silence that spoke of lost hopes and shattered dreams. The legacy of the Sea Peoples was a bitter pill for the Hittites, whose empire now lay in ruins, the echoes of betrayal ringing louder than the clash of swords. The remnants of their civilization, buried beneath layers of earth, would serve as a haunting reminder of a time when the Mediterranean world was forever altered by the enigmatic nomads who rode the waves of change, leaving behind a mystery that scholars and storytellers alike would seek to unravel for centuries to come. Thus, as the sun set over the ashes of the Hittite Empire, the tale of betrayal and conflict lingered in the air, an unsolved enigma that would whisper through the annals of history, forever binding the fate of the Sea Peoples to the legacy of a once great civilization. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting hues of crimson and gold across the Aegean, the echoes of a time long past whispered through the olive groves of ancient Greece. Here, amidst the shadows of crumbling temples and the ruins of forgotten cities, the legacy of the Sea Peoples unfurled like a tapestry woven with threads of conflict, migration, and transformation. These enigmatic nomadic warriors, whose presence sent ripples through the Mediterranean, left behind a mark indelibly etched in the annals of Greek history. The Sea Peoples, a confederation of seafaring marauders, began to emerge as a formidable force around the 12th century BCE. Their strikes against the mighty Hittite Empire and the Egyptian dynasties reverberated across the seas, forging a path of chaos and upheaval that would ultimately reach the shores of Greece. As they migrated westward, the remnants of their conquests blended with the cultures of the lands they encountered, leaving behind a legacy that would shape the very fabric of Greek civilization. One cannot speak of the Sea Peoples' impact on Greece without invoking the name of Mycenae, a city whose very stones seem to hum with the stories of its past. Archaeological excavations have revealed that during the Late Bronze Age, Mycenae was a thriving center of trade and power, its warriors clad in bronze and its walls defending against external threats. Yet, as the Sea Peoples began their incursions, the once mighty citadel found itself at a crossroads. The terracotta tablets of Linear B, inscribed with the language of the Mycenaean elite, hint at a society caught in a web of conflict and desperation. The conflict with these marauding forces is encapsulated in the tales of heroes and gods, where the likes of Agamemnon and Achilles took center stage. These figures, immortalized by the bardic traditions of Homer, reflect not only the valor of Greek warriors, but also the fears and struggles of a society grappling with the reality of invasion. In the Iliad, the specter of the Sea Peoples looms, a threat that loomed large, though their identity remained shrouded in mystery. The epic battles described on the plains of Troy resonate with the chaos wrought by the Sea Peoples, suggesting that the lines between myth and history are often blurred. The archaeological site of Tiryns, with its massive cyclopean walls, reveals another layer of the Sea Peoples' legacy. Here, remnants of pottery and weaponry tell a tale of adaptation and resilience. As the Sea Peoples advanced, the Mycenaeans fortified their strongholds, employing techniques reminiscent of their invaders, a testament to the transformative influence these nomadic warriors had on Greek military architecture. The blending of cultures is evident in the pottery styles and weaponry found within these walls, suggesting that rather than a simple tale of conquest, the Sea Peoples initiated a cultural exchange that would reverberate through the ages. Moreover, the legendary city of Knossos on Crete offers a glimpse into the aftermath of the Sea Peoples' incursions. Once a center of Minoan civilization, Knossos had already experienced its decline, yet the arrival of these maritime warriors marked a significant transformation. The frescoes that once depicted serene landscapes and ritualistic dances now lay buried beneath layers of ash and rubble, remnants of a society that had to adapt or perish. The labyrinthine corridors of Knossos, whisper tales of survival and integration, as the Minoans grappled with the realities of a world reshaped by the Sea Peoples. As the dust settled and the echoes of conquest faded, the legacy of the Sea Peoples became interwoven with Greek myth and culture. The very notion of the hero, central to the Greek worldview, was likely influenced by the presence of these formidable adversaries. The valor and resilience attributed to figures such as Perseus and Theseus may reflect the characteristics needed to confront the chaos brought forth by the Sea Peoples. In the centuries that followed, the specter of these nomadic warriors would continue to loom over Greece, morphing into a symbol of both fear and inspiration. The very essence of Greek identity began to take shape in the crucible of conflict, where the Sea Peoples acted not merely as invaders, but as catalysts of change. Their legacy lies not solely in the ruins they left behind, but in the enduring tales of courage, conflict, and cultural metamorphosis that shaped the foundations of Western civilization. Thus, as the sun sets over the Aegean once more, the echoes of the Sea Peoples linger in the air, mysterious, alluring, and forever entwined with the story of Greece. Their saga is a reminder that history is not merely a linear path, but a complex dance of cultures where the echoes of conquest resonate through the ages, leaving behind whispers of both triumph and tragedy. In the waning light of the Bronze Age, when the Mediterranean Sea whispered secrets of empires long gone, a tempest of warriors known as the Sea Peoples surged forth, their origins shrouded in enigma. To understand their ferocity and the dread they instilled in the hearts of mighty kings, one must delve beyond the surface and compare them to other ancient leaders whose ambitions and conquests echoed through the annals of history. The Sea Peoples were a mosaic of tribes, perhaps a confederation of disparate groups, whose names, like phantoms, flickered in the scrolls of Egyptian scribes, the Peleset, the Sherden, and the Ekwesh. Each bore the mark of a warrior culture, yet they were not alone in their thirst for conquest. The annals of history brim with figures such as Sargon of Akkad, a master tactician who forged an empire from the ashes of the Sumerians, and Ramesses II, a pharaoh whose military exploits were immortalized in stone. Yet what set the Sea Peoples apart was their relentless nomadism, their ability to adapt, and their enigmatic identity, an identity that left behind tantalizing clues but few definitive answers. In the context of their time, the Sea Peoples wielded power akin to that of Alexander the Great, who would one day sweep across the known world. But with a critical distinction. Alexander operated within the framework of an existing civilization, while the Sea Peoples emerged from the shadows of the Mediterranean as harbingers of chaos. They were not just marauders, they were agents of transformation. They destabilized empires, leaving behind a legacy that would alter the cultural landscape of the region. The Hittite Empire, for instance, with its cities like Hattusa, fell before their onslaught, the once thriving streets echoing with the sound of their defeat. To draw parallels is to delve into the psyche of leadership. Take Ramesses II, for example, who famously declared himself the bringer of peace, even as he led his armies into battle at the pivotal conflict of Kadesh. His reign was marked by monumental architecture, but also by a relentless pursuit of glory that sometimes blurred the lines of wisdom and hubris. In contrast, the Sea Peoples operated as a collective force, their leadership structures likely fluid and decentralized, yet equally compelling. Archaeological evidence from sites like the ruins of Ugarit suggests that their conflicts were not mere skirmishes, but rather a concerted effort to topple established norms. Unlike Ramesses, who sought to pen his victories into history, the Sea Peoples left behind an ambiguous legacy, one that invites interpretation rather than offering clarity. The archaeological site of Ashkelon, where remnants of the Philistines of the Sea Peoples were uncovered, provides insights into their warlike culture. Here, the remains of fortified structures stand as testimony to their strategic prowess. They built not just to defend, but to expand, wielding weapons and tactics reminiscent of their contemporaries, yet infused with a unique ferocity. This was a people who, unlike the centralized leaders of the time, operated in smaller, adaptable groups, making them akin to later guerrilla fighters, striking swiftly and disappearing into the expanse of the sea. Consider also the legendary Hannibal Barca, whose audacious crossing of the Alps to confront Rome mirrored the boldness of the Sea Peoples as they invaded the well-fortified shores of Egypt. Both figures embodied a spirit of defiance and strategic ingenuity, yet Hannibal fought within an established framework, whereas the Sea Peoples sought to dismantle frameworks altogether. Their methods were primal, reflecting a deep connection to the chaotic forces of nature, as if they were the very storms that swept across the Mediterranean. As we ponder the gods of war, those historical titans who shaped the battles of their day, the Sea Peoples stand unique, not just as conquerors, but as agents of anarchy. They blurred the lines between civilization and savagery, embodying the duality of creation and destruction that is woven into the tapestry of human history. Artifacts unearthed from their camps, ceramics, weapons, and remnants of their lifestyle speak not only of conflict but also of a cultural fusion, an amalgamation of traditions that contributed to the rich heritage of the regions they touched. In the end, to compare the Sea Peoples to other leaders is to engage in a dance with shadows, an exploration of what it means to be both feared and revered. Their legacy, veiled in mystery, continues to haunt the waves of the Mediterranean, a reminder that history is often written in the blood of the vanquished and the tales of those who dared to challenge the might of empires. The Sea Peoples, with their restless spirits, remain a testament to the unpredictable tides of fate that can change the course of history in an instant. In the twilight of antiquity, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the shores of the eastern Mediterranean, a profound and haunting ritual unfolded upon the waves. The Sea Peoples, enigmatic nomadic warriors, held sacred ceremonies that were as fluid and unpredictable as the very waters they traversed. These rituals, steeped in mystery and steeped in purpose, served not only as means of spiritual expression, but also as vital catalysts for their cultural identity and cohesion amidst the chaos of their world. Archaeological evidence suggests that these rituals were deeply intertwined with their maritime existence. In the coastal ruins of ancient Ugarit, a city once thriving with trade and culture, excavations have revealed altars adorned with offerings to deities of the sea. Here, the Sea Peoples would gather, their voices rising in fervent chants that echoed across the waves, invoking the favor of gods who governed the tempestuous waters that both nourished and threatened them. Among the artifacts discovered were clay figurines representing aquatic deities, perhaps a reflection of the reverence held for the forces that dictated their lives. Among the most prominent figures in the pantheon of the Sea Peoples was a goddess known as Baalat, often depicted with flowing hair and a crown of stars, standing majestically upon the waves. She was believed to be the protector of sailors and the bringer of bountiful catches. Rituals dedicated to her often involved the sacrifice of fish and grains, offerings cast into the sea as symbols of gratitude and supplication. As the sun set, the shimmering surface of the water mirrored the flickering flames of torches, creating a mesmerizing spectacle that infused the air with a sense of both reverence and apprehension. One particularly intriguing site that has provided insight into these rituals is the submerged temple discovered off the coast of modern-day Cyprus, believed to be linked to the Sea Peoples. This site, shrouded in mystery and often referred to as the Temple of the Deep, reveals remnants of submerged altars and votive offerings that suggest elaborate ceremonies were conducted to ensure safe passage through tumultuous waters. The temple's architecture, featuring intricate carvings of sea creatures and celestial motifs, speaks to the Sea People's dual reverence for the natural world and the mysteries beyond the horizon. It is said that during these rituals, warriors would don ceremonial attire made from sea materials, fishing nets woven into cloaks, shells adorned as talismans, marking their transformation into vessels of the divine. They would dance upon the shores, stomping their feet in rhythm with the crashing waves, invoking the strength of the ocean itself. These rituals were more than mere performances. They were affirmations of identity, binding the various tribes of the Sea Peoples into a single, formidable entity. The act of dancing, often described in ancient texts, was believed to summon the power of the sea, channeling its fury and ferocity into the hearts of the warriors. Yet, what truly captivates the imagination are the whispered tales of the night of the ascent, a ritual said to occur during a lunar eclipse. On this fateful night, the Sea Peoples would gather, drawing together from the farthest reaches of their nomadic existence. Under the shadow of the moon, they would light great bonfires and perform sacred rites believed to connect them to the ancestral spirits of the ocean. As the eclipse darkened the sky, the participants would share stories of past triumphs and losses, invoking the memories of their forebears who had sailed the same waters before them. It was a night of reflection, strength, and divine communion, where the boundaries between the living and the departed blurred within the flickering light. The mystery of these rituals extends beyond their descriptions, as they often left tangible imprints in the archaeological record. The excavation of burial sites across the Aegean has unearthed grave goods that include offerings of shells, fish bones, and remnants of ritualistic pottery, each piece a testament to the Sea People's intimate relationship with the marine world. Scholars speculate that these items were not merely grave goods, but were integral to the rituals surrounding death, ensuring safe passage into the afterlife, a journey believed to be fraught with perils akin to those faced upon the waves. As the scattered remnants of their once mighty civilization continue to be unearthed, the ceremonies of the Sea Peoples stand as a haunting echo of their existence, a reminder of the power of belief and the relentless human spirit. Their rituals, woven with the threads of mystery and reverence, remain an unsolved enigma, inviting us to explore the depths of history and the profound connection between humanity and the boundless sea. In the annals of ancient history, few tales are as enigmatic and compelling as that of the Sea Peoples, a tapestry woven with threads of conquest, migration, and cultural exchange. As we delve into the Great Exodus, we find ourselves at the crossroads of the Mediterranean, where shifting alliances and turbulent seas shape the destinies of great empires. The Sea Peoples, a confederation of maritime raiders and nomadic warriors, were not simply destroyers. They were harbingers of change, navigating the waters of fate as they sought new horizons. The origins of these enigmatic warriors are shrouded in mystery, with archaeological evidence suggesting a complex interplay of cultures. Some scholars posit that they hailed from regions near the Aegean Sea, while others suggest the cliffs of Anatolia or even the desolate deserts of the Levant. To trace their path is to follow a trail of upheaval, a great exodus that pushed these people from their homelands into the heart of the Mediterranean basin. But why did they leave? What drove them to become the scourge of flourishing civilizations such as the Hittites and Egyptians? Historians point to climate change as a possible catalyst, arid conditions transforming fertile lands into barren wastelands, forcing communities to seek sustenance elsewhere. The Hittite Empire, once a formidable power, faced internal strife and environmental challenges, resulting in weakened fortifications. As the harvests dwindled, the Sea Peoples, emboldened by desperation and the promise of plunder, set their sights on the weakened states of the eastern Mediterranean. Archaeological sites such as the ruins of Ugarit, a vibrant trading city on the coast of modern-day Syria, reveal the depth of this turmoil. Ugarit's strategic location made it a melting pot of cultures, a hub connecting the Levant with the broader Mediterranean world. However, as the Sea Peoples descended upon its shores, they brought with them not just destruction, but a mingling of cultures that would leave an indelible mark on the region. The clay tablets unearthed from Ugarit recount the city's desperate attempts to fortify its defenses, illustrating the fear that gripped its citizens as they braced for the onslaught. The Sea Peoples were not a singular tribe, but rather a coalition of various groups, each with its unique customs and identities. The Merneptah stele, an Egyptian inscription dating from the reign of Pharaoh Merneptah, mentions these marauders in vivid detail. Among them were the Peleset, likely the Philistines, who would later settle along the coast of Canaan, bringing with them their distinct pottery and practices. It is within this cultural amalgamation that we begin to unravel the story of migration, for these people did not merely conquer. They assimilated, transforming the landscapes they invaded into something new. The journey across the Mediterranean was fraught with peril. As they embarked on their voyages, the Sea Peoples navigated treacherous waters, relying on their knowledge of the stars and wind patterns. Archaeological finds have uncovered remnants of seafaring vessels, suggesting a sophisticated understanding of maritime technology that allowed them to traverse the open sea. Yet, their expeditions were not only driven by conquest, but by an innate desire for survival, a quest for fertile land and stable resources in an age of uncertainty. As they spread across the Mediterranean, from the shores of Cyprus to the coastal territories of Sicily, the Sea Peoples left behind a legacy of disruption and transformation. The ruins of cities like Mycenae and Tiryns bear witness to their raids, with evidence of destruction but also of cultural exchange. The collapse of the Mycenaean civilization, often attributed to the invasions of these nomadic warriors, also paved the way for the emergence of new societies such as the Greeks, who inherited the remnants of a once great culture. Yet as their settlements flourished, so too did the questions surrounding their eventual disappearance. Did the Sea Peoples assimilate into the local populations, or did they migrate further, seeking new lands beyond the horizon? The great exodus that had once propelled them forward seemed to fade into obscurity, leaving only whispers in the annals of history. In our search for answers, we find ourselves standing at the edge of the sea, gazing into the vast unknown. The mystery of the Sea Peoples serves as a reminder of the fragility of civilization and the resilience of those who dare to traverse the tumultuous waters of fate. As we unravel the threads of their journey, we are left with more questions than answers, an enduring enigma that continues to captivate the hearts and minds of those who seek to understand the past. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting an amber glow over the ruins of ancient cities once vibrant with life. Few tales echo as hauntingly as that of the Sea Peoples, those enigmatic nomadic warriors who swept across the Mediterranean, leaving behind chaos and destruction. Yet, after their ferocious campaigns, they vanished from the annals of history as mysteriously as they had arrived. What became of these formidable marauders? The last whispers of the Sea Peoples fade into the haze of the Late Bronze Age, around the 12th century BCE. As the empires of Egypt, the Hittites, and Ugarit crumbled beneath the weight of their assaults, the world was forever changed. Yet, even as the dust settled, the Sea Peoples themselves seemed to dissipate like mist at dawn. Archaeological evidence paints a picture of their prowess, but the end of their saga is shrouded in uncertainty. Some scholars suggest that as the grip of war tightened upon the Mediterranean, the vibrancy of the Sea Peoples began to wane. The very same waves that had once carried their long ships to the shores of unsuspecting cities now turned treacherous. Climate change, a factor often overlooked in the chronicles of history, may have played a pivotal role. Archaeobotanical studies reveal a period of prolonged drought coinciding with the Sea People's decline, crops withered, and hunger festered. The once bountiful lands of Canaan and the Nile could no longer sustain vast armies. Perhaps the Sea Peoples, who had thrived on the riches of conquest, found themselves retreating, their numbers dwindling as resources became scarce. Yet the question remains, did they truly vanish, or did they assimilate into the very cultures they had sought to conquer? The notion of integration is tantalizingly supported by evidence found at archaeological sites throughout the Levant. At Ashkelon and other coastal towns, pottery styles shifted, revealing influences that may well be tied to the Sea Peoples. Their warrior ethos might have intertwined with local customs, giving rise to new identities, born from the crucible of conflict. Did they find solace in the remnants of the empires they once dismantled, transforming into the very foundation of a new order? In the annals of Egyptian history, Pharaoh Ramses III's records are among the last to mention the Sea Peoples. His inscriptions at Medinet Habu boast of victory against these marauders, claiming to have driven them back into the sea, yet the subsequent silence speaks volumes. The absence of the Sea Peoples in subsequent records suggests that either their presence had become so normalized that they no longer merited mention, or they had indeed slipped into obscurity. Archaeologist Zahi Hawass has posited that the Egyptians may have rebranded the Sea Peoples, referring to them under different terms as they integrated into society, a mere shift in nomenclature, obscuring their true identity. The collapse of interconnected trade networks also played a significant role in their fate. As the Mediterranean world splintered into isolation, the Sea Peoples, who thrived on raiding and pillaging, found fewer opportunities for conquest. The collapse of trade routes, coupled with internal strife among the remnants of the once great empires, made survival increasingly untenable. The cities that had once echoed with the clash of swords now stood silent, a testament to the cyclical nature of history. Theories abound, yet certainty eludes us, much like the very faces of the Sea Peoples themselves, their names lost to time. Were they the Philistines who settled along the coast of Canaan, or did they vanish into the mists of the Aegean, transforming into the very heroes of myth? The Iliad and the Odyssey speak of warriors bearing striking resemblances to those described in Egyptian texts, but whether they are one and the same remains a riddle wrapped in an enigma. As the last embers of the Bronze Age flickered out, the legacy of the Sea Peoples morphed into something more profound than mere destruction. They became specters haunting the dreams of future generations, their stories woven into the tapestries of emerging civilizations. The echoes of their tumultuous existence remind us that history is not merely a record of the past, but a living entity, an intrigue that continues to captivate the minds of those who dare to delve into its depths. In the silence of the ruins, beneath the shifting sands of time, the mystery of the Sea Peoples endures, awaiting the keen minds and adventurous spirits who might one day uncover the truth behind their enigmatic end. Until then, they remain a testament to the fleeting nature of power and the indelible mark left by those who dared to challenge the tides of history. As the sun sets over the azure waters of the Mediterranean, casting a golden hue upon the ancient ruins that dot its shores, one cannot help but ponder the enigma that has captivated minds for millennia. The Sea Peoples. These nomadic warriors, whose very existence remains shrouded in mystery, have left a legacy that transcends time, invoking awe and curiosity among historians, archaeologists, and enthusiasts alike. Their impact on the great civilizations of the Bronze Age, Egypt, the Hittite Empire, and the city-states of the Levant, still echoes through the ages like whispers carried upon the wind. The fascination with the Sea Peoples is rooted in the ambiguity surrounding their origins and motivations. Can they be traced back to the tumultuous migrations of the late Bronze Age? Archaeological evidence points to a confluence of peoples from the Aegean, the Balkans, and perhaps even as far as the shores of the Black Sea. Yet their exact origins remain elusive, buried beneath layers of time and shifting sands. The Egyptian hieroglyphs, particularly those inscribed in the temples of Medinet Habu, provide tantalizing glimpses of their ferocity and fierce determination. Yet they offer little insight into the cultural fabric that bound these warriors together. As one delves into the annals of history, the figure of Ramses III emerges as a pivotal character in the saga of the Sea Peoples. This pharaoh, often hailed as the last great ruler of the New Kingdom, faced the onslaught of these marauding tribes in a series of epic battles that would echo through time. The reliefs depicting the naval engagements against the Sea Peoples at Medinet Habu are not mere artistic embellishments. They serve as historical testimonies, immortalizing the clash between a crumbling empire and the relentless tide of invaders. The sight of warriors clad in feathered helmets, their ships adorned with formidable figureheads, stirs the imagination and invites questions. Who were these people? What drove them to leave their homelands and venture into the heart of established civilizations? The archaeological site of Ugarit, a vibrant hub of trade and culture, offers further clues to unravel this intricate tapestry. As excavators sift through ancient layers of soil, they uncover artifacts that hint at the city's role as a cultural crossroads. The destruction layer corresponding to the Sea People's incursions reveals not just the devastation wrought upon its walls, but also the intermingling of cultures and the dissemination of ideas. The discovery of Mycenaean pottery alongside Canaanite artifacts suggests that the Sea Peoples were not mere destroyers, but rather agents of change, merging the traditions of their homelands with the rich tapestry of the Levant. Yet it is not solely the physical remnants of their existence that continue to allure scholars. It is the enigma of their eventual disappearance that has sparked countless debates. Theories abound, ranging from assimilation into local cultures to the possibility of their complete extinction. This ambiguity has inspired writers, filmmakers, and artists throughout the centuries, each interpreting the Sea Peoples through their lens, adding layers to their already complex narrative. The allure of the unknown, the thrill of speculation, serves as a fertile ground for myth-making, wherein the Sea Peoples transform from historical figures into legendary warriors, shrouded in the mists of time. Furthermore, the contemporary fascination with the Sea Peoples can be seen reflected in modern media, from documentaries that bring the ancient world to life to novels that weave their stories into thrilling narratives. The mystery of their origins and their fate resonates with a modern audience grappling with issues of identity and migration. In this sense, the Sea Peoples transcend their historical context, becoming symbols of the universal human experience, the quest for belonging, the struggle for survival, and the indomitable spirit of adventure. As the waves lapping at the shores of history continue to ebb and flow, the Sea Peoples remain a potent reminder of the ever-changing nature of civilization. They challenge us to look beyond the surface and question the narratives that have shaped our understanding of the past. Each archaeological discovery, each new interpretation, adds another brushstroke to the portrait of these enigmatic warriors, ensuring that their legacy endures in our collective consciousness. In the end, the mystery of the Sea Peoples is not merely a historical puzzle to be solved, it is a story that invites us to explore the depths of human experience, to embrace the unknown, and to celebrate the stories that linger just beyond our grasp. A legacy of mystery that will continue to inspire wonder and inquiry for generations to come.